Well, it was obviously good to get a win, a good homecoming crowd, a lot of people on campus. I mean, we had the '82 national championship team back, had a big celebration for them, which was awesome. It was great to see our king and queen crowned. It was great for everybody involved, especially with us getting the victory. Not ever forget how important it is to win and how hard it is to win. And as we were shown Saturday, how hard it is to win. And so we got to continue to improve this week and get better and better on all phases of our football team. I know everybody's going to want to talk about, improvement on defense, and we'll talk about that. But, it's a team sport. And in the front of our team meeting room, it says the team. And that's what's most important. And so when we lose as a team. But when we win as a team. And, we wouldn't have won if our defense wouldn't have got some stops and allowed us to get ahead and maintain our lead. So, there at the end, I think it was very, Parker-like to go down the field and score. And, those are important things. And, that's why I think everybody, both offense, defense, and special teams, glad we got Parker, but we're also glad we got everybody else on this team. So we'll improve this week, get ready for a ranked SEMO team. They're, I think, 15th and 14th or in the polls that I've seen. Very solid football team, well coached, good defensively where they're supposed to be, when they're supposed to be. Very good tackling defense. Offensively, obviously it starts and runs through the tailback. He's a really good player, but the quarterback that is transferred up from I think it was Methodist College maybe. Is really talented and has some really big talented receivers on the outside. So it's going to be a great challenge going down there. We are their homecoming. So we've got to go down and hopefully spoil a homecoming and get a good trip back. So with that being said, I'll open it up for any comments or questions.
Coach, first of all, you talked about Parker and how special he is. And, I've had people around town just ask me about him. But what makes him so special? I mean, is his experience here? Like, what have you seen from him that just makes him the type of player that he is?
Well, I think anytime you talk about a special person, you talk about the person. And, it's hard to be consistent. It's hard to be the same every day. It's hard to be up or down or whatever you want to say every day. And Parker is the same person every day that he walks in the building. He's never going to be too high. He's never going to be too low. I think he enjoys his teammates. I think he loves the game of football. And I think, you see that in, since I've been here, I've never had to, Parker hadn't been late. He hasn't missed. He hasn't complained about doing things. He may do that in the locker room with the guys. I don't know, but he doesn't bring it to us. And those are the consistencies that you see when he goes on a game-winning drive like that. I mean, not every throw was perfect. Not every read was right, but he just, all right, snap the ball again, give it to me again, and I'm going to throw it here this time, even though I may have had to throw it in out of bounds the last time. Somebody runs the wrong route. He doesn't just go ballistic. You know what he does? He walks over and coaches. If he's got the time, in a 2-minute drill, or actually that was a 1-minute drill. In a 1-minute drill, you don't have that time. And so I think that's what makes Parker a unique leader. Obviously he's got good arm strength, good speed. He understands the game. If you pull Parker's video, he's going to have studied it. He's up in Coach Stillman's office, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, getting a game plan and getting ready to go. Things that matter. And that's what Parker does. And there's other players on our team that does that. But we need more and more players to do that. But that's the difference in Parker and a lot of different people. And I think he's ultra talented.
With how good he is, why? Okay, the offensive struggles at times this year. I mean, we know against UNA, I mean, it was up and down the field all game long. But look back at the Austin Peay game, things like that. With as good as Parker and this offense has been at times, what do you think has caused the inconsistency with the offense at other times this year?
Well, I think when you say inconsistencies in offense, I think you're thinking the second half of Austin Peay and the Sam Houston game, which are two teams that would be that, if Sam Houston was competing for the FCS national championship this year, would be in the top 5 probably. And Austin Peay's a ranked team. So I think when you're going against good football teams, there's going to be inconsistencies. Okay. I think, if you go back and look at the Austin Peay game, he had 4 drops that cost us, probably potential winning the game. That's not Parker's fault. And when you talk about Sam Houston, that probably wasn't his best game he played. It probably wasn't. But what did he do? With a minute to go, he put us ahead.
Yeah.
Right. And so, our defense played lights out, kept us in the game. He walked us right down the field. And then, unfortunately, it didn't work out the way it should have. I think when you look at inconsistencies in our offense, I think it's very minimal. You look at the first, I wasn't there, but you look at the first game, scored a lot of points. You look at the second game, obviously scored a lot of points. Third game, week 5, we had to keep scoring to keep going the way we need to go. So I think, when you're looking at that, that's where we're at.
Last question for me. But you talked about homecoming this past weekend, how exciting it was. Was there anybody that you ran into that you hadn't seen in a while? Got any good stories from homecoming weekend?
Oh gosh, not any good stories, but I'm gonna tell you this. That 82 team is something special. And I really believe, EKU is a special place with special people because of all the people that are tied into the football tradition here that Coach Kidd built. And I go down to the biggest thing I noticed is I left here Friday night after our team meetings and everything, and I went down to the Madison Gardens to see the 82 team in their celebration, just to honor them and say hi for 20 minutes, just shake hands. I saw Leon Hart and Doug Carter, who I both worked with when I first came here. That was probably as special as it gets. Obviously seeing Coach Kidd Saturday, I've seen Coach a lot, but to see the camaraderie of those men in that arena. But when I turned around, I had to go different ways because they had it all blocked off for the dog celebration too, right? When I turned and looked, downtown Richmond looked like it used to look on Thursday nights, Friday nights, and Saturday nights after a home win when they kept everything open an hour later. It reminded me of that time. It was like we transformed it all back together. And then Saturday on campus was the same way. Yeah. People everywhere. I had people from, Bowling Green that came up that I got to meet when I was down there that are Eastern grads. And it was just unbelievable how many people showed up. And now we got to make sure we try to get them all back in the stadium. We still had a great crowd, but there was probably still 4,000 or 5,000 left out there, laying around. And we got to keep them upright and get them into the stadium by 3:00. And but I think that was just a special weekend, and I think it was great for our team to see that people really do care about you and your abilities, and we've got to continue to give them reason to.
Coach, appreciate you giving the time. Obviously the season's been so up and down, right? And the homestand was kind of up and down. Obviously you wanted to run all 3, but how do you feel like you guys did on the homestand, and how are you kind of gearing up to hit the road again?
Well, I'm disappointed we didn't go undefeated, and get the win against Sam Houston State. But we've done a good job at home, and we'll continue to. It was good to be home for a month. We had the off weekend there. I don't want to say I'm disappointed where we're at because obviously you want to be undefeated. So yeah, as soon as you lose one, you're disappointed. But we still have everything in front of us. We're still competing for the conference championship. We're still competing for the playoffs. Everything's right there in front of us, and it's not like it's do or die. We're in a playoff mentality, but I think everybody in FCS football is the last 5 games because of the playoff model that we have. And, it's either go to the playoffs or go home. So, our kids want to go to the playoffs. Our young men they believe they can go in and do some things. And, we're beat up a little bit. We've got some injuries that have, created some young guys getting in there and learning on the run a little bit at times. But, we're no different than anybody else. So, I'm excited about and pleased of the crowds that we had. I thought our crowds at home were great. Our administration's done a great job. Our players have done a great job. You know, everybody that's involved, our town's done a great job. Our student. So I'm excited about where we're at, and you know, I can't wait to get down to Cape Girardi this week and you know, go play a really, really good SEMO team. And you know, if you look at our schedule, every team on there is good. I told you last week that I thought UNA was a better 1-5 team than everybody's giving them credit. And guess what? They were.
Yeah, and you kind of mentioned it. I mean, everything's in front of you. You can really just go wreak havoc in the Sun here the last month of the season and just go out there and just win all of them. I mean, obviously that's a extremely difficult task, but how important is that, you know, making the playoffs? And what does your team need to do in order to do that and to run this here in the ASUN?
Well, I think we got to take each game as a life of its own, and just worry about each game one game at a time. We can't look ahead. We can't worry about what happened. You know, we can sit here and berate our defense on what happened last week and till we're blue in the face, and it's not going to change anything. We've got to move forward. They've got to move forward. They've got to come together and understand that can't happen again. And our offense has got to understand that we got to continue to do what we need to do. And we got to take each game one game at a time. It's a 1-game playoff each week for the next 4 weeks. You know, then we got Central Arc, then we go to Jacksonville State, and then we come home for the finale at home in the regular season against Kennesaw. All games that are going to be tight games, 60-minute games, you know, and we're built for that. We've been in many of them. I mean, go back and look at the first 2 games of the season. I mean, we're built for that. And we've got to remember that, and we've got to have that drive to finish this thing out. And then, you know, I think it's important to get in the playoffs because I think the players deserve that. I think the coaches deserve that. I think our fans deserve that. And it's not just important to make it, it's important to make it and get in there and win. And is it disappointing if we don't? Heck yeah, it is. Heck yeah, it is. You think Alabama's disappointed if they don't make it? Hell yeah, they are. Well, then we ought to be. And that's got to be our approach. And the leadership on this team is going to have to step up these last 4 weeks and demand that out of the other players. You know, gone are the days of, hey, you're my buddy, I'm going to be nice to you. Hey, man, let's just get what we need to get done. And let's take care of everybody, but let's just get what we need to get done.
Hey, Kelton, first of all, man, I mean, you got a track meet this past week. Offense is going up and down the field, a lot of points scored. As a defense, how hard is that, you know, as you guys go out there? You made some big plays defensively, pressured the quarterback, but still a lot of points put up. So as a defensive player, what are you all saying to each other out there, and how did it feel out there competing in a game like that?
First, as me as a D lineman, we feel like it starts with us. So for him to be running the ball like that, we felt like it was all of us. So we really was just talking amongst ourselves, saying like we got to do better as a unit to stop him from having so much success on the yards game. So really, it was just like it was more of the D linemen talking to each other. It wasn't really the defense. We felt like it was just us that he was running the ball like that, because you got to get past the line of scrimmage, and which means you got to get past us to do that. So it was more of us. We felt like maybe we wasn't staying in our gaps and letting our linebackers trust us from the back end. So we just feel like this week they got a great running back too. So we want to really lock in a lot more and staying in our gap and compressing the pocket and compressing the gaps that the running back can run in. So he has to run outside for our help. So that's just our biggest game plan this week.
When you're playing in a game like you all did this past Saturday, how important is that rotation of guys up front, you know, with you and Shane and TK and the other guys that you all have? How important is it to have that kind of depth? Because, you know, sometimes you may need a breather to come out, but you know that you got somebody coming in that can get the job done still.
I love it. Like last year, I was the depth guy. I rotated last year. So with me being the starter this year, I love it. Like I don't want to play the whole game, and I also know I got teammates behind me that could also do the same job I can do. So I want them to get the opportunity that I'm getting to. So I don't never have no problem with the rotation. I love it. I love my brothers.
Just kind of like I asked Coach, just, you know, the opportunity you guys have in front of yourselves is pretty special. Everything is still right in front of you, but how do you kind of wrap up this homestand? How do you feel like you guys played, and how are you guys kind of ready to hit the road?
Really, we would go by week. We just 1 week at a time. We want to know every week. So with us getting a win last week, we just took the win and we gonna keep the win and we ain't gonna get a win back. So we don't really look at the homestand. We just want to win every week. That's our biggest goal. So even though we lost the homestand, we know that we got a bigger goal this week to continue to winning.
All right, Tucker. First of all, you've had some little injuries throughout this year. Talk about the health situation right now and how it felt to be back out there on the homecoming Saturday in front of that crowd.
Yeah, I've been having some issues here and there. Luckily, I've been able to do a few things with the trainers and PTs, seen a few doctors, kind of got some solutions in place to get me to Saturdays. And so I'm really, pumped about that. It was, obviously just a blessing just to come back out there and getting to play these past 2 weeks after being off, a couple weeks. So obviously I love being in front of that crowd, being at Richmond. It's been great. Coach said like a month basically being home. So you don't get to do that too often in college football. So yeah, it's just been a big blessing to be back and ready for a good test this week for sure.
Talk about your cohesion with Coach Wells. It really seems like he is a true players coach. You see him out there. He's always, battling for you guys, just trying to make sure that you all get the respect that you all deserve. In some of the past press conferences, he's talked about wanting you guys to have that feeling of playing for a championship. So when you've got a guy like that who day in and day out has your back, how good does that feel as a player to have a coach like that?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Wells is obviously, he's the man. We love playing for him, and I think it shows not just how he coaches and how he is on the field. I think you can really see it, when he's in the community and the things he doesn't do or the things he does do outside of just football and the X's and O's. I mean, he's such a community guy, definitely a player's coach. I mean, I'm part of the players board and, he always asks us no matter what, he's like, what do you need? What can I do for you guys? Like, and no matter what we say, it's going to get done. So he has always been that guy for us and we appreciate that. It gives us, kind of a weight off our shoulders to just go play free for him. And that's what we try to do. We know he's going to have our back and we want to do the same for him.
You and Parker obviously have to have a good relationship because of your, spots on the field.
Right.
So, talk about that. And whenever you miss a game, what are you saying to, the backup guy to get him ready to, be able to snap the ball and still have that same cohesion that you and Parker do out there on the field?
Yeah. One thing that's great, especially with our O-line room is, we got a ton of guys that can play. It doesn't matter who really goes down. We've had obviously some issues this year with that. But we got a lot of guys who can just plug in and play. And Zach Ferris, he's been awesome with that. And he's been really helpful with me, especially at practice and just going back and forth. And that connection with Parker's one of my better friends on the team. So we've always had that connection and, we definitely have had to get back into a groove a little bit, but I would say we're right back into the flow of things. And really what I'm trying to say is there's no drop off really when it comes to having certain guys on the team. So we, especially in the O-line room, we pride ourselves on just being a close knit and we don't really care who's going in. We just know that we're going to perform and we can plug right in and play.
The same deal, like how are you guys kind of embracing the opportunity that you guys have ahead of yourselves and, through this crazy up and down season, you could really, end it by doing something pretty special. So, what is this opportunity like to try to make the playoffs and what do you guys have to do here in this last month to make that happen?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we have, Coach Wells said it, we have a really great schedule ahead of us. No easy teams, no teams that are going to give us, a day off. And we don't really want it that way anyway. But, obviously going out, winning out the rest of the schedule is what's most important, what we're looking at. Kelton kind of touched on this too, but, we kind of take it a week at a time. This week at SEMO, going down to Missouri, familiar foe, not in the past 2 years, but obviously they were a previous OVC team. And so we've played them a lot. I've gotten to play them 3 times in my career. So I've been to Cape Girardeau a few times and excited to get back down there and see how our team performs.